Now, during a campaign rally in Iowa for Ted Cruz, Phil Robertson told the crowd that we needed to rid the earth of people who support same-sex marriage.
Don't you understand that when a fellow like me looks at the landscape and sees the depravity, the perversion, redefining marriage and telling us that marriage is not between a man and a woman? Come on, Iowa. It's nonsense. It is evil. It's wicked. It's sinful. And they want us to swallow it. You say, we have to run this bunch out of Washington, D.C. We have to rid the earth of them. Get them out of there. Ted Cruz loves God. He loves James Madison, and he's a strict constitutionalist.
So that's nonsense, right? You want to talk about nonsense? Okay, well, we can talk nonsense. So people like Phil Robertson literally take the words of a 2,000-year-old book written by desert nomads that talked about a dude who died and then came back to life from the dead. And you're saying that giving fellow human beings the right to love and marry who they choose in a consensual agreement that gives government-sanctioned benefits to those people, well, that's the nonsense part. You with me here? I don't think this guy understands the concept of irony. Now, Ted Cruz, well, what did he think about that whole thing? Get him out of here. Get him off the earth. Well, he called that whole speech cheerful. Cheerful. Quote, what a joyful, cheerful, unapologetic voice of truth Phil Robertson is. Cheerful. That's not exactly what I would use to describe this diatribe, this hateful diatribe, from a man who doesn't think that same-sex couples in committed relationships have the right to be married and have the right to be happy. So did you notice at the end here, when he talked about how Ted Cruz loves the Constitution, God, and James Madison, right? Now, for one, the Constitution has the First and 14th Amendments, respectively. Now, that state that the state cannot establish or endorse a specific religion. That's the Establishment Clause. And that every citizen is supposed to be treated equally under the law. That's under equal protection in the 14th Amendment. So, with those things established, let's talk about or show you why Phil Robertson supports Ted Cruz. Let's let him explain this, and then I'm going to point out, of course, where he's absolutely wrong.
The reason I'm going for Cruz is that Cruz loves God and James Madison, for crying out loud. James Madison, Neil, was the man who said, we've staked the whole of American civilization not upon the power of government, not on the power of government, far from it. He said, we've staked all of our political institutions on the capacity of each of ourselves to govern ourselves, control ourselves, and sustain ourselves based on the 10 Commandments of God. Therefore, Cruz trusts God, Cruz trusts James Madison. That's why, Neil, I trust Cruz.
And that's bullshit. Why do I say that? Well, historians looked into this, and they have found no evidence that James Madison even said that. According to Snopes.com, quote, the idea is inconsistent with everything we know about Madison's views on religion and government. Views which he expressed time and time again in public and private. And that's according to curators of the Madison Papers at the University of Virginia. They were actually responding to somebody asking about the separation between church and state. James Madison did not talk about how everything is based upon the 10 Commandments to govern ourselves, control ourselves, and to sustain ourselves from the 10 Commandments. That's patently false. That's patent bullshit. But this is what you get. You get revisionist history and false quotes, courtesy of right-wing fundamentalists like Phil Robertson. See, these are the types of people that Ted Cruz praises as cheerful voices of truth. And they could be far, far from it. Keep in mind that if you think Ted Cruz is for the Constitution, watch these clips, read up, and think again.